Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the WIT podcast. I am always excited to introduce you to young entrepreneurs from around the world. This one is particularly exciting for me because I've watched this young woman on social media. She's been supporting the podcast without any desire to get anything from the podcast, but I've just seen her support the other guests by liking the posts or sharing articles or just engaging with the community. And that means so much to us that somebody is willing to support the community just because, and hopefully it's because it brings the person value, but it just has meant a lot to us. So it's a joy to have her as a guest on the podcast today. So let's just jump in and have her introduce herself to you through some rapid fire questions. First off, what's your name?
My name is Julia.
And what's the name of your business?
I own One Tidy Day.
And what do you do at One Tidy Day?
I sell notepads, notebooks, and stickers, and branding and design services.
And do you create those notepads and stickers?
I create my stickers. I design everything, but I create my stickers with a Cricut, and then my notepads, I outsource them from other companies.
Okay. And where in the world are you today?
I'm right near Aspen, Colorado.
Okay. And what do you like to do when you're not focusing on your business?
I'm very outdoorsy because I live in the mountains, and I love to Nordic ski, cross-country ski. I'm getting into cross-country running, and I also play lacrosse. So.
Okay. And do you have a favorite subject in school or part of school? Since we know that you're an art entrepreneur and a student.
Yes. In school, I think I really like science. I just think it's super cool. Just biology is what I'm taking this year, and I just think it's super interesting. I am okay with math, but I think science is probably my favorite.
Okay. And are you binge watching any shows right now?
Yeah, I'm watching Jane the Virgin right now, which I really love. And yeah, so that's the current show. But
okay. And what's your favorite go-to snack?
Oh, I think probably chips, like flavored chips, for no reason at all. They're just such a good like comfort food snack.
Do you have a favorite flavor?
I like sour cream and onion.
All right. And do you have a favorite song that gets you just kind of, if you're feeling kind of down and you got to get pumped up to do something, do you have a song that you go to?
Yeah, I don't listen to music super often, which I know is weird, but I think, lots of Taylor Swift songs I like, but there's also a song, I can't even remember the artist. I just remember it popped up on my Spotify one day and I liked it. I think it's called Pretty Girl maybe, and I just really like that one because it just is like a fun song to listen to. So.
Okay. And do you have a favorite podcast or YouTube channel that you like, that you turn to?
Well, I love listening to this podcast.
Thank you.
I also love Sydney Day Design's podcast. And I actually recently started a podcast that's just like talking to teen entrepreneurs like me. So I don't really listen to that, but that was just something.
Well, you've created it. So let me give a plug because I know which podcast you're talking about. I think it's Sydney Day's podcast is Small Business Saturday.
Yes.
So we'll give her a plug for that. Go check it out. Sydney's been a guest on this podcast and a big supporter of the WIT community. So shout out to her. And then what's the name of your podcast?
It's called the Teen Business Talk Podcast.
Okay.
And I essentially just talk to teen business owners about topics and things that are, and like just go through all of the kind of nitty gritty parts of owning a business as well. Like not all the glorious parts that some people see on social media. So.
Oh, that's a good place to start. So tell us the name of your podcast again, so we can give it a plug and people can go check it out.
Yeah, it's Teen Business Talk Pod on Instagram, just like all one word. It's kind of long. And then, yeah, it's just Teen Business Talk. It's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and a few other things.
Well, fantastic. So those that are watching, listening, go give it a little shout out, like, subscribe. Remember, there are easy, free ways to support one another on our entrepreneurial journeys. You can do that by subscribing to someone's YouTube or podcast, or liking or sharing, commenting. All those things help get more eyes on people's work and what they're bringing out to the world. So make sure you do that if you feel inspired. Okay. Well, I think that's a really great place to start. Kind of about the topics that you might already talk about on your podcast, but let's bring it here to this audience. What is something that you wish people talked about more in connection to being a teenager running a business?
I think definitely like when I was started owning a business, I can't exactly remember what time, might have been around October. I had not grown very much. And I just wasn't feeling so great about where I was with my business. And I think just the parts where, and I just felt really alone. Like I felt like no one else was going through what I was going through. But then I realized like tons of other people go through stuff like that. And I think people just need to know like it's difficult. There are definitely times where you get down on yourself for not getting orders or gaining followers or something like that on Instagram, just with your business. And I think like just knowing that everyone goes through stuff that is difficult when you're owning business.
I mean, I can vouch for that as being an adult entrepreneur, that I deal with that. We were just talking about Sydney Day. I know she's dealt with that. And I think she's got, and I don't want to be quoted on this, but like 20,000 followers, maybe it's more than that. But meaning a lot of followers. And she struggles with that. We talked about that in her episode too. Let's talk about that a little bit. Do you think it's because, so I want to talk about it. You're talking about it on your podcast, this idea that, it's hard when you're starting a business, or not even starting it. Maybe you're in the middle of it, or you've just felt stuck for a while, do you think it's because you're putting too much weight on whether or not you're getting the orders, or whether or not you're getting the likes? Like there's so much value on the outside of the, like what it looks like. Talk to me a little bit more about where you see the issue.
Yeah, I think it's more of like an internal thing for me, at
Okay.
least. Like I don't think it's really what I think of people seeing what I'm doing. It's more of like when I see someone who maybe might not even have as many followers as I have, but has more sales or something on Etsy. And I'm like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Like there's something that I must be doing wrong. But then I have to take a deep breath. I'm like, you know what? I'm doing okay. This is like, I am at a really good place right now with my business. And I just have to kind of keep working at it, and I can get there at some point. So I think it's just seeing other people that kind of
So
spark.
comparing.
Yeah.
So I think that I'll figure out who I can give credit to this in the editing part of this, and when we edit this, but comparison is the thief of joy. And I think that that's really true. And I've experienced it in my life, even with this podcast, going through and seeing how many views or how many downloads, or people that are willing to share or not share or engage. And then you look at some other podcast community, go, shoot, like what they're like seem to get so many downloads or so many views, or there's so much engagement in the comments. And I'm in that moment of comparison, and I do feel that my joy goes away. So it is, the comparing is the thief of joy. It's when I get back in my lane, I like to say, just get back and focused on like, what's the next action step I can take right here in my community, and what value can I bring to this community, and just focus on that. That's how I get back in my lane and out of the comparison game. How do you get out of the comparing?
I think, like I said, kind of realizing that there is someone else who has gone through this. Like everyone goes through it. I think that's mainly my thing that I say. Also, sometimes it's been really weird. Sometimes I get down on myself for not getting orders, and then every once in a while someone orders, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm back on track. So that always helps, obviously. But yeah, like I said, just kind of thinking about it more and saying I'm not alone in this. Other people go through this, and it's normal. And then knowing that I'm doing the best that I can do and kind of pushing on.
Well, I admire you for even just having the conversation and putting that out there. Some people like to pretend that everything is perfect and they never struggle and it's just joyous all the time. And those are not people that I usually associate with, because I just know that that's not true, especially as an entrepreneur. No matter how old you are, there's definitely some ups and downs and ebbs and flows. And if you can, sometimes for me, I can catch myself and I think, wait, am I feeling anxiety because I'm an anxious person, or am I feeling anxiety because I've been sitting here scrolling for so long and it's looking like everybody had it together and I don't have it together? And then I think, okay, let's just take a pause. Let's go walk the dog. Let's go do something fun. Let's go back to my business. But sometimes that's it. I don't know if that happens to you, but the scroll can sometimes bring about some self-doubt.
Yeah, it definitely does. Even if I don't even notice it, like I start feeling worse as I'm just like on my phone more. And so I've kind of realized sometimes I just have to stop doing it.
Yeah.
Even though it's something to do.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's why I've called also kind of with my Instagram, I'm trying to create a platform, just kind of showing people that I'm not perfect and that like it's okay. Cause I feel like when I was definitely starting up, I wish I had more like people like that I could kind of look up to and see. So
I love that. I think one of the things that I put out there in the world is that I want to be the adult that I wish I had when I was a kid. And so the actions that I take and my desire to elevate a teen voice or give teens access to different platforms is because I wish more adults would have actually taken me seriously when I was a kid and recognized that I had ideas that were worth sharing. I mean, probably some that weren't, but there's probably some good things out there. And it sounds like you're kind of doing the same thing. You're creating the platform that you wish you had when you were starting out, which I think is really cool, Julia. And I think you should be proud of yourself for doing that, because you could have just taken the route of, I'm going to curate and make it look perfect. And instead you're saying, well, that's not what I needed. And so you'll probably have people that will look up to you, which is kind of a big responsibility to turn into a role model. How do you feel about that?
yeah, I mean, I've recently, like I never thought this would happen when I started, but recently I've had people say like, oh my gosh, One Tidy Day just started following me. I'm like, I didn't know that was that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Or like some of my favorite small businesses and they put me up there. I'm like, that's super cool. But also at the same time, like I wrote something the other day, kind of about just saying like, I don't want to be the person that people compare themselves to, because that is a big responsibility to have people look up to you. But I don't want to be someone that people compare themselves to. So I'm trying to find like a balance where,
How about being someone that people are inspired by?
yeah,
That's
I
good,
definitely,
right?
I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can't control what people do. I mean, I've definitely learned that. You can only take care of you and just stay authentic and honest with you. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the business. So the name of the business is One Tidy Day. Tell us how you got that name.
Well, it's a long journey because I rebranded at the beginning of the summer to One Tidy Day. But before that, it was created by Julia. And even before that, it was Cards by Julia. Because I started out selling greeting cards that I'd made for my family. And then I just kind of got into digital design around Christmas time and made a calendar. And that kind of started going somewhere. And then I got sticker paper for freebies and stuff in my orders. And then I decided to go with stickers. And that's just kind of how it went. But I had a bunch of other random products in my site before I rebranded this summer and I just felt like it was going nowhere because there was nothing, it wasn't cohesive. There were just too many different things that I was selling. And so I decided to rebrand. And I think I was actually listening to an episode on organization on the Small Business Saturday podcast. And I was like, sometimes I am so overwhelmed on organization. Like, I just don't even know what to do because I am a pretty organized person, but sometimes it just seemed so hard to organize myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to start creating products that helped people become organized and like made it easier to do that. So that's how I kind of started making more notepads, and that's kind of the thought that goes into all of my products and designs.
And that's how you came up with the name?
Yes, it took a little while to get it right because I wanted to find one that had the right website, but
Yes.
yeah, that's how I came up with the name.
Yes, because you got to think about the website plus the Instagram handle. These are things that matter when you're branding. So I think that's really good takeaway for people listening. You've already had 3 evolutions of the brand. And how long have you been in business?
I think it was a year in June.
Okay, so you're a year in and you've had 3 different names. And it sounds like you've probably, this third one is a charm. You feel like this is kind of where it lands, which I think is really important for viewers and listeners to understand, because sometimes there's this feeling of how I start, I have to, I got to make it work, but you're going to evolve as a brand and as a person, and your interests are going to change too. And it also sounds like you got inspired to do stickers because of those freebies. So you kind of don't know where the inspiration is going to come from, but if you pay attention to it, it's inevitable that you're going to have changes. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't think I really thought that much about the changes except for this last one. Created by Julia is more of a thing that I went into because I wasn't really selling just cards anymore. So that wasn't that big of a deal because my website still had the same name and everything. But this one I definitely thought a lot more about, and I think it just is better for my business and what I wanted to do. So yeah.
So what current goals are you working towards right now? And maybe we can help.
Well, as far as followers go, which isn't like a huge goal for me because that I'm not super concerned about that, but I'm getting close to 3K, so I'm excited about that. And then
Let's talk about that. So you care about it, but you don't care about it. So
right.
tell me more about that, because I feel like that's probably something that our viewer and listener, they probably share that. Like they don't want to have 10 followers, but they know if they have 10, that's pretty cool. If 10 are buying, I mean, if 10 people are following you and every week they buy something, that's better than 100 people following you and no purchases for a month.
Yeah.
So, but walk us through how your mind thinks about this. Like you're probably going to celebrate the 3K, but then you're like, it doesn't matter if I get 3K. So
Yeah. Well, I definitely will celebrate it because it's exciting that I've gotten that far. But I think mainly if the followers aren't converting to sales, like if they're not supporting me, if they're just there, I don't really care about them because they're not helping me grow in any way. But then the people who do kind of come in and are super supportive and like maybe they don't even buy because like that's not the most, I mean, I guess that kind of is the most important thing in a business. But if they are just super supportive and they're like, just keep going, like that always helps like brighten my day every single time someone says something like that. So I think that's just something that really helps me, is just having more supportive people kind of surrounding me. But in other words, like I don't really care that much if they're just people there for no reason. I don't know.
it sounds like you care about the community, the building, the connection in the community. Are there people that you love to follow that inspire you? Maybe you can acknowledge them, give them a little shout out.
Like when I was first starting, like Sydney Day Design, Cases by Natalie, there's a few other people up in that realm that I like always looked up to. I was like, that is so cool. I want to be up there someday. And it's just so cool that now I'm like, I'm no longer just like this tiny business. I'm getting recognized for things. And I think it's just super cool now to see how far I've come.
Yeah.
When I started.
Well, I think that's really good to acknowledge progress and growth. And I think sometimes we don't always do that. And because the carrot or the line always moves, it's like, okay, well, once you get to 1,000, now it's 5,000 or 10,000 or 20, so we got to be kind of careful about how much we're putting externally on our, we'll be happy when fill in the blank, instead being, this is really cool. We've made this kind of progress. I love the idea that you're really focused on building community, because that's something that we're really focused on here at the Do It podcast. And some days we feel like we're doing a great job with it. And sometimes we're like, gosh, I don't know if we're even helping these kids, and what should we do? And how can we support? And I wanted to share that that's really normal for people if you're trying to build connection and community, if it's not just a number count for you, but instead, like, how do we get people to connect and talk and support each other? For me, and I'm curious what your answer would be. For me, I can't wait till the day that I see people just organically sharing our podcast episodes and shouting out a teen entrepreneur, like, oh, check out this new episode of the Do It podcast. Julia gives like great advice about getting started, and like just seeing people naturally do that to lift each other up and to lift the community up. Right now, we're incentivizing people to do that with giveaways and things like that. But my goal is when that just starts happening naturally, that people want to do that because they know it'll elevate the brand and elevate other teens. So that's what I'm really excited about. Or is this something that you're excited about to see in your community?
Yeah, I think a lot of things, like I'm working right now. I'm trying to do something every week where I kind of DM someone and I'm like, just keep going, like your business is doing great, because those kind of DMs have really helped me. So, and I realized, like, hold up, if they're helping me, why don't I help other people doing that? So I've been trying to do that recently. I think that's something that I'm just working towards. And I don't know if there's too much going on that I'm trying to go towards as a goal, but I mean, definitely from your community, I have met a few people, and I think it's just super cool that I've been able to meet these other business owners that I probably wouldn't have met before. So,
Well, I love that. I'll take that as a win. Let's talk about what your products look like. Do you have, because we do this on YouTube so people can actually see your products. I think that's helpful, especially if you want to grow and sell. It's good to show people what you've got. Do you have any nearby that you can talk about? Any favorites?
Yeah, I actually do.
Okay, let's see what you got.
I was filming a reel, and so I have some up here.
Perfect.
It is like my favorite one that I make. It's a notebook, and it just has like notes on it, and it has like just line pages. But I just really like the design, and I was kind of proud of that.
Can you hold it up so we can hold it closer to the camera? Very cool. I love those colors. It's how it reads on camera, almost like a navy blue, cream, orange, and pink.
Yeah, and you can't really see it from here, but like there is a second blue right there.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's kind of like a teal color. It's more pronounced on here, but yeah. So this is currently my favorite product that I sell. But then I also have like this one. I think is my most popular one.
Okay, let's see it.
It's the student planner, and it just has like places for assignments and dates, and obviously towards the school year it's gotten more popular, but I made this one because I remember going into like our local just like catch-all store that has like notepads and stuff last year for a planner that I could use to just like write down everything, and it was so boring and really ugly, and I was like, I don't want to use this. So I decided to make something that was a little more attractive to me, at least, and I think other people like it as well.
So that one that you just held up, can you hold it up again? Are those sticky notes or are they tear out? What's happening here?
No, it's just a tear off. It's just like
okay,
they're not sticky, but it is. This is them.
So just ways to stay organized. It's like little create. And so let's talk about how you design that. Like, let's say, for example, the big notebook that you're really proud of, the one that you like. Where did that design come from? What are you designing on? What tools are you using?
Yeah. Well, I think the idea, I don't even know where. I think the idea came from, I sometimes just search up images on Google, just like random things. If I'm going for like a retro kind of vibe or something like that, I search up stuff and then I get ideas from that. Like I saw something with a bunch of circles and I was like, oh, that's super cool. And then I kind of liked the off-white, like it is not an exact white on it. So I kind of liked that. And then I just thought the cloud would be cool. So that's kind of how I started with the design. And then I design all my things on Procreate. I just have like a pretty basic iPad, and an Apple Pencil. And that's kind of, I got that in December for kind of Christmas. I also kind of paid for half of it. So it was like it was a business investment, but also a present. So
Good.
it's definitely been helpful.
So what's the line between, and I'm curious because in this community, there are a good amount of teens that are creating planners and notebooks and things like that. So how do, and I feel like there's nothing wrong with that, friends, because when you think about it, if you go to a town, there's coffee shops on every corner, and there's Starbucks, and there's Coffee Bean, and there's Pete's, and there's plenty of different kind of coffee brands. So there can be plenty of different kind of planner brands everyone has their own unique thing. But is there any concern or issues around copying or anything like that?
I mean, sometimes not really with the designs though. I try to make my designs as unique as possible. They're all from my head. So I'm not really worried about the designs. I never really want to like copy someone's products. Even like it's hard not to because I have notepads and stuff, but I think the designs is what kind of sets me apart from another brand or other people. Like everyone has different things, and I think my calendar, because I'm going to do a calendar in the next month or so, I'm going to launch that, so which I did last year but it was not so good, so I'm redoing it this year. And so that's something that I haven't really seen other people do, so I'm kind of excited about that because I think that's pretty unique and I've got a lot of support from that.
So what would you say to the tween or the teen who goes, there's already, like, she's already doing notebooks, or why would I even start that? I should probably start something different. What is your advice to that person?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to be unique in some way. You want to have something that makes you unique because that's what mine is. My whole thing is organization based, which I guess a lot of notepads and stuff are, but I design them specifically in mind. I don't ever want to have products that aren't organization based. So that's kind of what bases all my products. Definitely to have something that sets you apart from others. That's like one of the questions I ask on my podcast on the beginning. It's always like, what makes your business unique? Because I think that's something that everyone should have at least a little bit of it. So definitely go for it if you're interested, if that's something that you want to do, because there's tons of jewelry businesses that I've seen, and I still want to shop from like every single one of them.
Yeah.
It's not like I have one favorite one that I never shop from anyone else. So people have options. People will shop from you if they like your designs, and just like make yourself at least a little bit unique. So.
Well, let's ask you that question. We'll ask your question back to you. What makes one tidy day unique?
Yeah, like I said, the organization part, just basing everything on that. Definitely my designs are different than what I've seen.
Okay.
I also try to have like, when I'm looking for my notepads and stuff, I go for the highest quality while trying to keep it simple. Like sometimes my mom is like, oh, you don't need that many pages. People would still buy it without that many pages. But I'm like, I want to give someone quality products. So that's something that I definitely work towards. And then also with my stickers, I think making them on my own, a lot of people do that, but I think some people outsource them. And I really just like the way that it is to make them on my own. So I think that's kind of one of the things that
I've noticed you like going live with packing an order. I've seen you do those.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes I'm trying to do them less, but people really enjoy them, which is like most of the reason why I do them.
Yeah.
Because people will DM me and like, when are you going live to pack an order? I'm like, I haven't gotten an order yet, but I will once I do. Because I don't know why people just enjoy watching that kind of stuff. So I do that, but I also sometimes like just packing orders by myself because I realize I don't need to share everything on social media.
Yeah,
but
you don't.
I do enjoy
you don't have to. don't have to share everything, but I think it's cool that you acknowledge that your community enjoys that. So working that in a way that feels balanced and okay with you. Let's talk a little bit about this. Maybe you haven't had this experience. I hope that you don't ever have it, but odds are the more you grow, it's going to happen. I've had it a few times. Other guests on the show have had it. Have you had to deal with any type of haters or people that are not supportive?
Not too much on like real business stuff, but I have on like a reel that kind of got big, and it was, I just eventually had to just like stop looking at the comment section because everyone was like commenting, and it was like a reel about not doing fast fashion and stuff like that. And some people generally didn't understand, and I got that, but some people were just kind of being mean and saying like, just because you want us to shop from your business doesn't mean you can like hate on other brands. And I was like, I'm not meaning to, like, I just don't believe in what they're doing. Like, I don't want you to shop from my business. I'm just trying to spread a message that I believe in. But that was kind of hard at first, but then I kind of had to ignore that for a little bit, and then it was better. But yeah.
Well, you don't do fashion though. So what were they?
No, it was, I don't even know. I think they're
Okay.
just saying like, I don't think they even knew that I don't think they even saw my business. They just knew that I had a business and
Got it.
decided to just kind of,
Got it.
I
Well,
don't know.
that's a really good thing to point out to people, that I tell people when they're dealing with haters or they're dealing with critiques, or I always say, consider the source. So if you're getting criticism and hate, from somebody, well, consider the source. Is that someone that you aspire to be like? Is that somebody who has a life that you would desire, or a personality that you would want to emulate, or character that inspires your own character development? If the answer is no, then you got to let it go, because they're not part of your crew, part of your like-mindedness. It's so hard though, because sometimes those people scream the loudest, and they're the ones that want to complain and hate are sometimes more in the comments than the people that like and support, because people who like and support are just like, oh, cool. Like, yeah, I like WIT, like WIT's good. And WIT does cool stuff, but they're not always saying that. But if somebody has something negative to say, sometimes those are the ones that are more prominent. But I do think that's just, it comes with the territory of putting yourself out there. That's why I always say it's brave, no matter what your age is, to put your ideas and your creativity out there. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's completely correct. I At first I was like, I think there was one hate comment that I got before, and it didn't bother me at all because I had heard everyone else talking about hate, which I know this is weird, but I was like, I'm a real business now. I've gotten a hate comment.
Yeah.
And then but like it didn't bother me at all. Like I didn't care about it. But then eventually it kind of got into my head once it happened a little more often. But then I was like, it's okay. I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, definitely they just managed to make themselves really prominent, because I appreciate every little thing that people say, but it's very easy to just see the comment that's like the worst.
I know it's the one that sticks in your head the most, isn't the one that was like, oh my God, I love my planner. It's like the insult is the one that you're ruminating over. But remember, that's a choice, everybody. It's a choice. You can think a new thought. You get to decide what you're going to stick with in your mind. You said something that I wanted to, the haters, but you said like that for sure. It's like when the haters start coming out, you kind of feel like, oh, well, I've made it, because that's just what happens. Okay. Well, if it was important, it'll come back to me, but I just am grateful that you were willing to touch on that for a little bit, because it does exist. It's important, but we all have the power to decide what we're going to focus on, and what we focus on grows. So maybe you want to focus on the positives in your business versus the negatives, and just accentuate and go back to the people who are giving you love. And like, I love that you're doing that, Julia, and going into their DMs and just giving them shout outs, because that made you feel good. That might be a nice call to action to anybody listening and watching right now, is just to just pause this and go do that. I have a really strong feeling it'll make you feel good. Is that what happened to you, Julia? Like, you probably got a nice little lift from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just like made my day, and I still get them every once in a while, and people are like, hey, I saw a reel of this and I really like your products, like keep going, it's so cool that you're a teen doing this. And it just makes me so happy. For, I guess there is a reason, but it's just like people believe in me, and it makes me feel better.
I know, if we each just like made a commitment to each day, just randomly shout out one person, the ripple effect of that would be pretty powerful. Okay, we're coming up on time. Do you have any launches coming up or anything that we should be keeping an eye out for?
I don't have any set dates for launches, but the calendar should be coming sometime in October. Hopefully end of October for like gift giving season, because some people order way ahead of time. And then I'm also launching tote bags. Maybe I'm hoping to do that in a few weeks. So, because I've gotten the designs and I'm ready to do that, I just have to order some supplies first. But hopefully tote bags are coming soon, so I'm excited about that.
Okay, any final tips or motivation or anything you want to share with our Do WIT podcast community?
I think as far as like owning a business, just know that you're doing great. Like, it can be really hard, but also know that you're not alone. If anyone wants to talk to me, feel free to talk, because I'm always open to that. And I think as far as tips go, probably just like keep working hard, because as long as you're working hard, your business is going to get somewhere. And it sometimes feels like it's not, but it will, and it will pay off someday, and just know that it will. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us today, Julia. And if you're interested in learning more about her business, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, it's at One Tidy Day on Instagram, all one word. And my website is also just onetidyday.com. So yeah.
Wonderful. And if you got value from this episode, please post your takeaways below, like, share, subscribe, all of the things. Your choice, viewer and listener, to share these episodes really helps us live into our mission of amplifying the teen voices and businesses and making adults take y'all seriously, because that they actually know that teens are launching businesses, tweens are doing WIT. So thank you in advance for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And remember, do WIT. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Do WIT podcast. If you were inspired, which I hope you were, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and let us know your takeaways. We love hearing from you. And don't forget to tag us. If you're interested in learning more about our WIT programs, you can visit doingwit.org and check out our different college credit courses, camps, and one-on-one coaching opportunities. If you're interested in being on an episode of the Do WIT podcast, make sure to visit our Instagram bio and fill out the application. In the meantime, I hope wherever this finds you, it finds you making the commitment to do WIT.